Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of See You at the Symphony. I'm Stephanie Everett, and I'm excited to share with you the music that will be featured in the Altoona Symphony Orchestra October 27th concert, Colorful Connections. Our October 27th concert will feature Michael Torke's Bright Blue music, Claude Debussy's Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, Todd Goodman's premiere of the first movement of Victoriam, a work that was composed for the Eastern Standard Trio. And we'll finish with Howard Hanson's Symphony No. 2, The Romantic.
I'm really excited to be a part of this concert by the Altoona Symphony Orchestra. What's really cool about it, in my opinion, is that it is really the history of modernism in music, starting with the 19th century, the Debussy L'après-midi d'enfant, the afternoon of a faun, was written at the turn of the 20th century and was a big influence on lots of composers to come, especially Stravinsky. If you were at our last concert and heard the Firebird Suite, you will notice a lot of little subtle similarities in the music. Stravinsky was a huge fan of Debussy. Moving on to the 20th century, in the 1930s, is the Hanson Romantic Symphony, one of the most popular works of the 20th century, certainly the most played work by Howard Hanson. This is a bridge between the romanticism of the 19th century and the modernism of the 20th century. You'll notice a lot of devices that he uses that actually came from, of all people, Stravinsky. Rhythmic things, harmonic things, even a little influence of Debussy in there. But there's quite a lot of northern composers like Sibelius and Richard Wagner. Then we turn to Bright Blue music, a piece from the later part of the 20th century in the 1980s, a piece that includes all these different elements and an extended orchestration and use of instruments and rhythmic complexity. Todd Goodman's work, Victoriam, that we will be doing the world premiere of in this concert, is from the 21st century, and again blends many of these different elements from his interesting use of chords, his use of melody, and his use of rhythm. It's going to be an exciting concert, and I can't wait to share it with all of you.
As a musician with the Altoona Symphony Orchestra, I always look forward to playing the music in the folder and preparing it and practicing it ahead of time. It's always fun to revisit pieces that I've played before, such as the Prelude to the Afternoon of the Faun, or of course, Howard Hanson's Romantic Symphony. But for this concert, I'm especially excited to be learning Michael Torke's Bright Blue music, written in 1985. Since Michael Torke is a living composer, I reached out to him and asked him to share a little bit about Bright Blue music. Here's Michael Torke.
Hello, this is composer Michael Torke. I've been asked to say a few words on my composition, Bright Blue Music. I think one way to introduce it is to think back when it was written, back 1985. This was a time where the credibility of a composer was determined by how complex a language you spoke. And that kind of bothered me at the time. I was thinking that there's a lot of things in life that are arbitrary and really left up to chance. For example, you don't get to choose what country you were born into. I speak English, not Mandarin, right? And neither language could be considered better than the other. So if, in that case, if language is somewhat arbitrary, why wouldn't that apply to music? That, in fact, it's somewhat arbitrary whether we use complex harmonies or simple. Given that, I thought I would like to write a piece with simple harmonies in D major that, for me, lift my spirit and make me think of, for example, the deep blue summer sky that I was experiencing that summer in New Hampshire of 1985 when I wrote the piece. So I invite you to keep those ideas in mind when you hear my piece, Bright Blue Music. Thank you.
The prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun was a symphonic poem composed by Claude Debussy and premiered in 1894. It was inspired by the poem The Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, written by Stéphane Mallarmé. It was Debussy's most famous work and is considered to be a masterpiece of Impressionist composition. The work was later used for a ballet, The Afternoon of a Faun. Now, I'm very excited to introduce the next composer to you. Todd Goodman is a colleague of mine, an educator in Pennsylvania, and Todd Goodman has written some pieces of music for Mrs. Detweiler and myself for a festival a few years back, and he's just a great friend. And I asked Todd if he could share a little bit about Victorium, which he has written for Eastern Standard Trio, and of course the Altoona Symphony will be premiering this piece on Friday.
Hi, my name is Todd Goodman, and I am the composer of Victorium, the new concerto for Eastern Standard, horn, tuba, and piano, being premiered by the Altoona Symphony on October 27th. So the idea behind this piece stems from another work that I wrote for Eastern Standard called Wonderlust, and that piece was a story, a journey about the joys and trials of travel. So when Eastern Standard asked me to write a concerto for them, I thought about how I could incorporate a story or some sort of big overarching idea. And so I was thinking about the number 3, because there's 3 in the trio, and normally concerti have 3 movements. So the number 3 was pretty important in a concerto as well as the Eastern Standard Trio. So I came up with the idea of using the Julius Caesar phrase, I came, I saw, I conquered. So this piece is all about, in 3 movements, the idea of you're brought to a journey, you're called to do something. The second movement is you see what's happening, you reflect on it, and then the third movement is you conquer it, you overcome what it is that you're trying to overcome. The Altoona Symphony is going to be premiering the first movement, which is Venemus, which means we came. I thought it would be better to use the we form of the Latin word rather than I. So it's a really exciting piece. It takes the listener on a journey, the call, the idea of that you're being asked to do something, and that even reluctantly you go and do it. And so that's what this piece is all about. And I hope to see you, and I hope to you enjoy Eastern Standard's premiere and the Altoona Symphony's premiere of Victorium.
The final selection for this Friday's concert of the Altoona Symphony Orchestra is Howard Hanson's Symphony No. 2, known as the Romantic. Many years ago, I first learned this piece when I was a high school student and participating in festival orchestras. And throughout the years, I've had the good fortune to also work with students learning this piece as well. It is a work that I always look forward to playing, mostly because the incredible melody that it features that is woven throughout all of the movements of the work. And I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about Howard Hanson's symphony. The Symphony No. 2 in D-flat major, Opus 30, The Romantic, was written by Howard Hanson on commission from Sergei Koussevitzky for the 50th anniversary of the Boston Symphony Orchestra in 1930. The lyrical and haunting second melody featured in the first movement reappears in each of the following movements. The work is considered a popular modern work that shows the influence of a very American composer. The music of the symphony was heard in the movie Alien, much to the displeasure of Hanson. You will also hear similarities in the symphony with John Williams' music for the movie E.T. The Howard Hanson Symphony No. 2 has been performed and recorded by many major symphony orchestras and is considered a staple of the orchestral repertoire.
Wow, after hearing all of that, I can't wait to be there. So I look forward to seeing you at the Symphony.
I want to remind you that you can still get tickets for this Friday's performance of the Altoona Symphony Orchestra by calling the Mishler box office. Their number is 814-944-9433. 888-888-8234, or you can go directly to the Altoona Symphony Orchestra's website and click on a link that will take you directly to the Mishler's Box office. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of See You at the Symphony, and I hope you learned a little bit about the music coming up for our October 27th performance. The performance will be at 7:30 at the historic Mishler Theater in Altoona, Pennsylvania. For everyone here at the Altoona Symphony Orchestra, I'm Stephanie Everett, and we'll see you at the Symphony.